In this video, I show you how I built my own DIY soundbar. I was over listening to my crappy TV speakers and I thought, why not just build one? So my three goals with this build were 1. It has to look good. 2. It has to sound better than the TV speakers I currently have. 3. It had to be under $150. So first up, I'm measuring up the 2 holes that need to be cut in the timber baffle for the 2x3 inch drivers. I decided to use a piece of 90 by 12mm Tasmanian oak for this, due to it being a nice light coloured timber with a pleasing but not over the top grain to it. To make these cuts, I used a regular cordless drill with a cheap hole saw bit. This is not the optimal way to do this for a number of reasons, but I think it was the best way to do it with the tools I currently have and my current skill level. The first hole was completed without any issues, although I did notice the hole ended up off centre by a couple of millimetres, but I don't think this will be noticeable unless you're looking for it. When it comes to the second hole, however, I think due to the fact that I was using a very cheap hole saw bit, it may have already started to lose its sharpness after the first cut, as it keeps binding up and trying to rip my hand off. It became clear to me that the quality hole saw bit and a drill press would have been much more optimal for doing this job. I've also seen this done using a plunge router and a circular cutting adapter, which I don't currently have either of those. Now that the holes were cut, I then used a router with a 9.5mm roundover bit along both sides of the piece to give it a nice rounded profile. This was actually the first time I'd ever used a router, so I was a bit tentative with that at first. Probably wasn't the best idea to immediately attack it before practicing on a scrap piece, but it came up quite nice thankfully. So for the speaker holes, I used a 6.5mm roundover bit. This is a little bit more difficult when I got close to the edges, trying to keep it nice and flat. I think for a future project video I might build a proper workbench so I don't have to use this crappy camping table. I then marked out from the centre line of each hole so that I could trim the piece to the correct length using the miter saw. I noticed my miter saw has a little bow in the backing plate, which is resulting in cuts that aren't perfectly 90 degrees. Something I'll need to fix up later. Now that I've done all the cutting and routing, I pulled out the random audible sander, starting with a 120 grit sandpaper. So for all the speaker holes, I did them by hand with 120 grit first, because obviously you can't get the orbital sander in there. So it took a while to do this. I only filmed a small part of actually how long I spent doing it. Then for the final sanding, I did it with a 180 grit sandpaper, all by hand. I was happy with how this finish came up, and now it was time to put a coating on it. I hung the piece up so that I could spray the whole thing in one go. I used a quick, dry, clear satin coating, as I prefer the more subdued look rather than a full gloss. As you can see, it wasn't the ideal location or wind levels to be doing this, but it came up quite nice in the end. I did about 4 or 5 coats because you only need to leave 20 minutes between. So as you can see, it come up pretty nice. It still has like more of a natural timber look to it, with the satin brings it out a little bit, so it's not too over the top and glossy, which looks nice. Now for the rest of the soundbar, I 3D printed a total of 12 separate pieces, including the speaker grills and brackets, totaling around 75 to 80 hours of print time. I used black PLA due to its nice matte finish and ease of printing. The whole piece was designed in a 3D CAD software, which is a game changer for when I'm doing my DIY projects. At each end of the soundbar, I designed an enclosure which will house the 2x2 inch drivers per side. I printed these enclosures using only a lightning infill, which means there will only be infill where there needs to be to support, so the rest of the inside will be mostly empty. You'll also notice that I have designed sphere-shaped enclosures for each driver. This is due to a bit of research I had done that was suggesting a sphere-shaped enclosure is optimal due to it not altering the frequency response of the driver. Sound waves bounce around the sphere without defracturing, resulting in a more linear response. Obviously, having a thin-walled, hollow enclosure is not ideal, but I have a solution for this. Instead of the print taking days using a high-density infill, I instead chose to drill small holes in the enclosure and fill it with no more gaps. This will slowly set and provide a solid yet flexible filling that will work well for absorbing sound waves and vibration. So I did the same thing for the other end of the twin enclosure and allowed them to set for like 2 weeks. And after the 2-week period, I could then come back and test the difference in sound. The 2-inch full range drivers I used are 10 watts each and are only $16 in total for 4, so it's very affordable. For these little drivers, they only have small fiddly terminals, so I decided to solder a speaker wire to them. Soldering is not something I'm overly good at. I also only have a cheap, crappy soldering iron, but it still gets the job done well enough. I much prefer to crimp connections whenever possible. These drivers are 8 ohm drivers. I'm running them in parallel, which will bring the total impedance down to 4 ohm, which works well with the amplifier I'm using. Before screwing the drivers in, I put a small ring of blue tack around it to provide a nice airtight seal. I'll then remove the excess blue tack using a little Stanley knife. The front faces of these don't look super pretty, but I'll be adding a grill over this later on to hide these imperfections, so I'm not too worried about it. As you can see here, I just put some screws directly through into the plastic. So I've got little holes that I already put in when I 3D printed it in the software. They line up perfectly. These end pieces then attach to the next piece along with screws that screw directly into the plastic screw holes I've integrated into the design. This attached piece will be fixed to the back of the Tasmanian oak timber baffles using screws. I used some clamps to hold the two pieces together, so when I marked out the screw locations, it was perfectly lined up. So I used actual screws to slightly screw them in, marking the locations. I could then pre-drill all the holes, ensuring I didn't drill too deeply, so I used a piece of tape to mark the depth. I could then re-screw the piece onto the back. The 3-inch drivers I'm using are 15 watts. I picked these up from AliExpress for $13 each, so again very affordable. The only useful specifications I could find on these is they have a resonant frequency of 80 Hz. This makes it hard to design a suitable enclosure size for them. Again for these I pre-drilled the holes and then screwed them directly into the timber baffle. This gives a nice clean look from the front, so only the cones of the speakers are visible. Due to these drivers having larger terminals, I could then use crimps instead of soldering, which is much my preferable method. Much more convenient and easier being able to clip them on and off. So it makes it easier if I ever need to replace the drivers. The 3D printed enclosure for these drivers I've tuned to 80 Hz using a small port based on the volume of the enclosures. Although due to not having many specifications on these drivers, these enclosures are not likely the optimal size, and due to adding a port they are probably too small. I may end up locking these ports at a later stage after testing the sound. To seal these enclosures to the back of the timber baffle, I'll simply add some 3mm thick foam to tape down on the back of the 3D printed enclosure. This will then compress against the timber when I screw the enclosure down, which means I can take it on and off easily while still sealing it up nicely. Again with these pieces, I pre-drilled holes which are marked slightly putting the screws in. It's important to pre-drill these holes so they don't get any splitting on the timber baffle because it's only 12mm thick and will likely split easily. As you can see, the enclosures have pre-printed holes each side which allows me to thread all the speaker wires from one end all the way through to the amp, keeping them nice and tidy and hidden inside the enclosures. So to seal these up, I'm just adding a ring of blue tack around in between the two pieces. When I push them together it seals up the hole. And on the other ends I just pack some blue tack in the holes as well to seal them up. I could use some silicone, but I want to be able to remove the wires easily without having to pull the silicone out and re-silicone it. I may eventually silicone it at some point in the future, but for now I'm happy with that. So I've got it all screwed together. Problem is on one end we've got a little bit 3mm gap between this piece and the timber. On the other end it's flush. So that means I might have to either shave down this bit of plastic a bit or 3D print a new piece to get this nice and flush. So I decided just to remove that piece and sand it back a few millimeters using the old sander. After this I went back and added some blue tack behind the speaker drivers to make sure they have a nice airtight seal. I then re-threaded all the speaker wires through and screwed everything down for a final time. It was now time to fit the grills to the 2-inch driver enclosures, which I also 3D printed. These just pop into place. I'm using a small 2.1 channel amplifier which I picked up from AliExpress for $11. The 2-inch drivers at each end make up the left and right channels running in parallel, while the 2x3-amp drives in the centre I've run in series with each other due to these speakers being 4 ohms, so as to increase the impedance to 8 ohms. If I was to run them in parallel, it would push the impedance down to 2 ohms, which would likely be too much for the amplifier. So the control dials just slot through the 3D printed holes I allowed for in the design, and after they slotted down I can just screw it directly to the timber baffle using some small screws. So after tidying up all the cables using a couple of zip ties, I could then attach the caps to the control dials. So these dials control the bass, treble and power levels. It's really nice to be able to quickly adjust these if needed. So we're getting very close to the finish here. So these little brackets I 3D printed as well and included some holes already in the design so I could screw it straight in. So one of these gets screwed onto each end of the soundbar. And then I have another piece that I screw directly to where the TV leg mounts used to go. So that screws onto both sides of the TV. So now that my brackets are all mounted, I can just come along and hook the soundbar directly onto the bottom of the TV. So once the soundbar is sitting in place on the brackets, I can just come back with a little set screw and screw that in, which holds it in place so it doesn't go anywhere. Overall, I'm very happy with how the unit turned out. I think it looks really good. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. So now it's time for sound testing. So you'll notice here I'm putting my hand on the bottom there. What I'm doing is blocking the ports. Let me know whether you think it sounds better with my hand blocking the ports or without. I think it's a bit more punchiness to the bass. It sounds a little better with the ports blocked. So that's it for this video. I will leave a list of total costs of parts and materials that are used to make this project in the description. Please subscribe to my channel if you feel like you got some value from this video. I have a lot more cool projects and ideas to come, including another speaker design which I'm more excited for than this one. Thanks for watching and have a good day.